There's something about betrayal that tastes worse when it comes served with a smile at a family barbecue. Picture this: 4th of July, burgers sizzling, kids running around with sparklers, and everyone pretending like their marriages are stable and their in-laws aren't silently judging them. My husband, Jason, was manning the grill, flipping patties like a suburban Gordon Ramsay, while I made polite conversation with his brother's ex-wife, Amber. Yeah, that Amber. The one who wore cut-off shorts like she was auditioning for a country music video. The one who used to be married to his brother Ben until a mysterious, irreconcilable differences fallout ended that little disaster. I never asked questions. We weren't close. But she was family adjacent and I played nice. Until I caught Jason looking at her like he used to look at me. At first, I brushed it off. We'd been married for 8 years. Things ebb and flow. But then I noticed how he leaned in when she laughed, how he lingered just a little too long when handing her a beer. I noticed Amber touching his arm in that casual way women do when they want to seem innocent and flirty at the same time. My stomach nodded. My smile stayed. Weeks passed. Then came the late nights working, the sudden interest in fitness, the new cologne I didn't buy him. I'd seen the signs before, on Friends, on TV shows, hell, even in a Reddit post once. I knew what was coming. The confirmation didn't come through lipstick on a collar. It came through an iPad, our shared one, that he forgot to log out of. There, in the iMessage thread with a contact saved as A, because wow, so subtle, I saw the truth. I miss your mouth. Can't stop thinking about last weekend. Tell her you're going to Denver again. I'll be at the cabin Friday. The cabin. The one Ben used to take Amber to. The one Jason and I hadn't visited in over a year. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I closed the iPad, poured myself a glass of wine, and made a plan. Because here's the thing about cheating. It's not just about sex. It's about lies, disrespect, cowardice. And Jason? He was about to learn what it felt like to be played by someone smarter, colder, and infinitely more strategic than he ever gave me credit for. I started with Amber, because sometimes the best revenge doesn't begin with confrontation. It begins with friendship. So I invited her to brunch. Amber, of course, the woman screwing my husband behind my back. And the irony? She accepted without hesitation. I told her I needed girl time, and she showed up like she was auditioning for The Real Housewives of Regret. Big sunglasses, a fresh blowout, and perfume strong enough to gag a bloodhound. We met at this cute cafe downtown, the kind with overpriced avocado toast and baristas who look like failed poets. I wore soft beige, no makeup, but just enough mascara to look tired in a pretty way. Amber walked in wearing her signature denim romper like it was still 2014. She hugged me. Hugged me. God, it's been forever, she chirped, sipping her mimosa like she didn't know she was sleeping with my husband. I smiled. I know, right? We should really do this more often. I played dumb, which turns out is the best strategy when your opponent is overconfident and self-absorbed. I asked her about work, about dating post-divorce, about how Ben was doing. She rolled her eyes at the mention of her ex. Still bitter, she said, and then leaned in like she had gossip worth gold. You and Jason still good? She asked, stirring her drink slowly. I tilted my head. Of course, why wouldn't we be? She smirked, and that's when I knew. Not just suspected, knew. That little flash of superiority in her eyes. The kind of look only women who think they've won get to wear. I knew she thought I was clueless, and that's exactly what I needed her to believe. By the end of brunch, she told me way more than she realized. That Jason had helped her get a new job, aka pulled strings with a friend. That she'd started going up to the cabin again to clear her head. That she finally felt sexy again. Cute. Real cute. I walked away from that brunch with 2 things. Confirmation and a plan. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. No, I was going to document everything and turn their secret into a ticking time bomb, one they wouldn't even hear until it exploded right between them. But first, I needed allies, and who better than the one person Jason would never see coming, his own brother. Ben always seemed like the forgotten older brother, while Jason got the golden child treatment, charm, good looks, a smooth career. Ben was quieter, steadier, with this kind of quiet intelligence that made people underestimate him. He was the guy who'd fix your fence without being asked, who never made a scene even when Amber left him in shambles. He also hadn't said a word about her since the divorce, which was impressive, honestly, because the way she left him, cold. One day she was making his favorite blueberry pancakes, the next she was finding herself in a yoga instructor's apartment. So I took a risk. I invited him over one evening under the pretense of needing help with the leaky sink. I greeted him with a beer and a grateful smile. As he bent under the kitchen cabinet, tools clanking, I made small talk. Then, carefully, casually, I dropped the name. "Amber texted me last week," I said, watching him from the corner of my eye. He didn't flinch, just kept tightening the pipe. "She said she's been seeing someone," I added, slow and calculated. Still nothing. Then I said, "She said it's someone familiar." He paused, just for a second, but I saw it. The twitch in his jaw, the microsecond delay in his response. That was all I needed. "Do you know who it is?" I asked, my voice steady. Ben didn't lie, not like Jason. He stood up slowly, wiped his hands on a rag, and looked me dead in the eye. "I had a feeling," he said. Didn't want to believe it. I handed him my phone, opened the screenshots, text, photos. That one of Jason's truck parked behind the cabin at 1 a.m. Ben took a long breath, then laughed. A dry, bitter laugh that tasted like betrayal. "You're telling me," he said slowly, "my little brother is screwing my ex-wife?" I nodded. "And I have a plan, but I can't pull it off alone." He didn't ask questions, didn't need to. He just said, "Tell me what you need." Because revenge, my friends, is best served with someone who's been burned by the same flame. We were going to give them a weekend they'd never forget, starting with a fake invitation and ending with the ugliest family dinner of their lives. I called it a family healing weekend. Yeah, I really did that. I made a whole fake group text, added Jason, Ben, me, and even Amber. I used words like reconciliation, growth, and closure, because nothing disarms people faster than the promise of emotional maturity. Jason bit instantly. Amber took a day. Ben played along like a damn Oscar nominee. I told them we'd all meet at the cabin that Saturday. "It's time we put the past behind us," I wrote. "Let's have dinner, talk like adults, no secrets." No secrets. The irony could have choked me. I rented a luxury catering package from this local private chef. Small plates, wine pairings, the kind of thing that made me look generous, classy. Jason always loved appearances. I even arranged a Spotify playlist, soft jazz and acoustic covers of love songs. Because if I was going to gut this man emotionally, I wanted it done with ambiance. Ben and I drove up early that morning, hours before they were due to arrive. We cleaned the place top to bottom, made the fireplace cozy, arranged the wine glasses just so. Every detail had to be perfect. Not because they deserved it, but because I did. In the living room, I laid out the seating plan. 2 couples, Jason and me, Ben and Amber. A table full of forced civility. Right in the center, a thick white envelope addressed to Jason and Amber in handwritten calligraphy. Inside, every shred of evidence I had. Printouts of messages, cabin rental receipts, credit card statements, a photo of Jason's hand on Amber's thigh from a security cam at a gas station. Ben brought out a small wooden box. "What's that?" I asked. Proof that Amber lied about the miscarriage, he said, voice flat. I froze. She said she lost the baby, he added. Turns out she was never pregnant. She was just prepping her exit strategy. I didn't ask how he knew. Some wounds don't need the details dragged into daylight. I just nodded. We'll leave it on the table after dessert, I said, after the final toast. He looked at me with something I hadn't seen in a long time. Respect. They won't see it coming, he said. They never do, I replied. They arrived at sunset, laughing, smug, arms full of weekend bags, completely unaware that the cabin they thought was their playground had already become their execution chamber. They pulled up right on schedule, 7:08 p.m., because Jason's never been late a day in his life unless he's lying. I watched from the window, sipping Pinot Noir. Amber stepped out first in a tight-knit dress that screamed, "Look at me, I'm doing amazing." Jason followed behind her, carrying a duffel bag in one hand and a bottle of overpriced champagne in the other. Ben and I had already taken our seats at the dining table like actors waiting for their cue. The candles were lit, music soft, food plated. I wore a navy wrap dress and a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Jason walked in, and the moment his eyes met mine, I saw the color drain from his face, like someone had pulled the plug. Amber froze behind him. "Surprise," I said lightly, swirling my wine. "Dinner's ready." Jason blinked. "You're early?" "I planned it," I replied. "Didn't want to miss the main course." Ben gave a small, courteous nod. "Evening." Amber looked like she wanted to disintegrate. I gestured to the table. "Please, sit. Let's not let the food get cold." To their credit, they sat, like sheep who hadn't yet figured out the slaughter was coming. We ate in silence at first, forks clinking, wine pouring. The chef had made lamb with rosemary reduction. Jason barely touched it. Amber picked at her salad like she wanted to disappear into it. I waited until dessert, chocolate soufflé with sea salt caramel, before dropping the envelope onto the table like a velvet hammer. Jason stared at it. Amber turned visibly pale. "What's that?" Jason asked, his voice tight. "A love letter," I said sweetly, "written in screenshots." Ben didn't say a word. He didn't need to. His silence was louder than any speech. Jason opened the envelope, read the first page. His eyes darted, then froze. He turned to Amber. "You said no one knew." Amber stammered. I didn't think." "You didn't think I could outsmart either of you?" I said, leaning forward. "Jason, I'm not the idiot you married. I'm the woman who's been documenting every lie since February." Ben added, "You betrayed your family, Jason, and you betrayed me." Jason turned defensive, his go-to survival mechanism. "You don't understand. Amber and I, this wasn't planned, it just happened." "Oh, it just happened?" I snapped. "You just accidentally fell into your brother's ex-wife? Repeatedly?" Amber finally found her voice. "It wasn't meant to go this far." I laughed, sharp, cold. "It always goes this far. You two just assumed we'd never be brave enough to stand up." I stood. Poured another glass of wine. "And now," I said calmly, "you're going to sit through every consequence you so generously earned." What they didn't know yet was that this night wasn't just about truth. It was about exposure, because the real show was about to begin, and the audience was already watching. Jason once told me, "You always think 10 steps ahead, Harper. It's exhausting." He said it like a complaint, but tonight, it's my superpower. Because while Jason was busy sleeping with Amber in the cabin his brother used to own, I was compiling a digital gift box. Photos, videos, screenshots, timestamps, a comprehensive greatest hits package of betrayal. And at 9:13 p.m., I hit send to the family group chat. All of them. His parents, his cousins, his aunt who still thinks he's such a good boy, Even Ben's sister, who once told me I wasn't warm enough for Jason. Every one of them got it. Subject line, just so we're all on the same page. Jason's phone buzzed, then buzzed again, then again. His face drained of blood as he read the messages. Amber's phone lit up too. One message from someone named Steph, Ben's cousin, read, "Wow, you're disgusting." Amber stood up. "You need to stop this." I tilted my head. "Or what? You'll lie harder?" Jason turned on me. "This is vindictive, Harper. You didn't have to involve everyone." "Oh, I think I did," I said, voice cold. "Because while you were off playing house with your brother's ex-wife, I was the one fielding questions about why you weren't at Ben's birthday, why you didn't show up for Thanksgiving, why you kept lying to your own mother." He tried to speak. I raised a hand. "Save it. You've had months to speak. Tonight, you listen." Then finally stood up, calm, steady. "I don't care what either of you say. This isn't about you anymore," he said to Jason and Amber. "This is about showing you that your mess doesn't stay private just because you were sneaky. You brought it into our lives. Now we're just airing it out." Amber looked like she might cry. I didn't care. "You two deserve each other," I said, stepping around the table. "But you don't deserve to do this in silence, protected by the comfort of secrecy. You chose this, and now the world knows." Jason's phone buzzed again. This time, he didn't look. "Where are you going?" Amber asked as he grabbed his jacket. He didn't answer. Ben laughed. "Classic. You burn everything down and leave the ashes for someone else to clean." I turned off the playlist. Silence filled the room like smoke after a fire. But I wasn't done yet. Because what's revenge without a little financial demolition? See, Jason always thought he was slick when it came to finances. He insisted we keep separate accounts. Easier for taxes, he claimed. What he meant was easier to hide things. But I'm a CPA. Numbers don't lie. Cheaters do. Months ago, I started quietly combing through our shared expenses. Not just the obvious ones. Credit card statements, hotel charges, gas. But the stuff Jason assumed I'd never look twice at. Random Venmo transfers to AJ Services. A new P.O. box in a town near the cabin. A second Amazon account tied to his other email. He wasn't just careless. He was arrogantly sloppy. I contacted a forensic accountant friend of mine, Jessica. Sharp, discreet, and had been cheated on herself once, so she came with rage as a bonus. Within a week, she traced over $14,000 in hidden personal expenses. Luxury dinners, spa charges under Amber's name, even a goddamn couples retreat in Tahoe that he'd claimed was a corporate summit. Oh, and guess what? He'd been paying Amber's car insurance. The gall. So the day after our family dinner, while Jason was still licking his wounds, I sent a perfectly packaged report to my divorce attorney. Then I transferred all my assets, legally and cleanly, into a trust under my maiden name. Jason didn't know yet, but that cozy little prenup he skimmed years ago, it just became his worst nightmare. And Amber? Well, let's just say she'll soon find out that the generous man who makes her feel young again just lost access to half of his retirement and has an IRS audit incoming. One of Jason's sketchy work write-offs triggered a flag while Jessica was digging. Oops. I left him one final message, emailed directly to his work account. "You once told me cheating was a mistake anyone could make. Funny, I don't think anyone accidentally commits tax fraud, too." I signed it. Best of luck, Harper. By the end of the week, Jason's boss would call him into a meeting. And let's just say HR wasn't the only one on that call. Jason always said his office was a no-drama zone. He used to puff out his chest and tell me he was respected across the board. The golden boy of mid-tier marketing, beloved by clients and upper management alike. Untouchable. But men like Jason never see the cracks in their armor until someone shows them the mirror. So I gave him one. Polished. shatterproof, delivered directly to his CEO's inbox. It started with a little online sleuthing. I'd already collected evidence of Jason's personal lies. Now I just needed to prove the professional ones. And oh, did he make it easy. Remember that client workshop in Napa he took last month? The one where he claimed to be onboarding a luxury skincare brand? I found the receipt for the resort under his name, along with a spa package for two and a dinner charge signed with Amber's initials. Conveniently, the date on the receipt overlapped perfectly with a company-funded professional development expense Jason submitted for reimbursement, one that was approved. So I packaged it. I created a neatly labeled PDF titled, Concern, Misuse of Company Funds, Jason Mallory, and attached it to a concise professional email. Dear CEO's name, I'm writing to bring a serious ethical concern to your attention involving Jason Mallory. As someone who values integrity in professional spaces, I believe this matter deserves urgent review. Attached are documented instances of Jason misrepresenting personal trips as company expenses, among other behaviors that may compromise the firm's reputation. Sincerely, a concerned individual. No threats, no drama, just receipts, literal ones. I scheduled it to send at 9:02 a.m. Friday morning, timed perfectly with the firm's executive leadership sync. It took exactly 17 minutes for the ripple to reach me. A friend from the firm, one who knew better than to ask too many questions, texted me. Harper, what the hell? Jason just got pulled out mid-meeting. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. I smiled into my latte and replied with a gif of a man ducking as everything explodes behind him. Jason didn't call me that day, but by 6 p.m., his work bio disappeared from the company's website. A day later, his LinkedIn went private. And Amber? She posted a cryptic black square on her Instagram story with the words, "Betrayal comes in more forms than I ever knew. Be careful who you trust." I actually laughed out loud. Was she talking about me? The wife she helped betray? Or Jason, now that she realized he wasn't quite the sugar daddy she hoped he'd be? 3 days after the email, I got a voicemail. His voice was flat, beaten. Harper, you made your point. You happy? You ruined everything. My job, my reputation. I hope this was worth it. I didn't respond. Because here's the truth. I didn't ruin his life. I didn't tell him to expense a romantic getaway under client education. I didn't make him lie, cheat, and think he could gaslight his way out of it. He ruined himself. I just turned on the lights. But Jason wasn't the only one who underestimated me. Amber still thought she could slink away untouched. She was about to learn, I don't do half measures. I finish things. Amber always struck me as the kind of woman who thought consequences were optional. The type who floated from relationship to relationship like it was a game of musical chairs, always assuming a seat would be waiting when the music stopped. Well, the music stopped, and I pulled the chair out myself. First, I did what any vengeful woman with a Wi-Fi connection and too much time on her hands would do. I researched. Amber worked as a brand consultant, freelance. No real employer, just a handful of recurring contracts with beauty and wellness brands that liked her aesthetic. I found her portfolio site. All neutrals and buzzwords like mindful branding and authentic identity. And wouldn't you know it, Jason had helped her get those contracts through his own agency connections. I reached out to 3 of the companies listed as her current clients, posing as a potential collaborator. I asked questions, innocent ones. Then casually mentioned I'd heard some unfortunate buzz about Amber's recent ethical entanglements and said I'd be hesitant to work with anyone involved in the scandal surrounding Jason Mallory's misuse of company funds. 2 companies responded within 48 hours. Both thanked me for the heads up. Amber's online bio disappeared a few days later. Her Instagram, which had been full of curated brunches, vague poetry, and too many selfies, went quiet, then private, then gone entirely. I wasn't done. I mailed her a copy of the cabin reservation under Jason's name, along with a credit card statement showing his name next to every charge she ever benefited from. On the back of the final page, I wrote, "When the dust settles, remember, you weren't a victim. You were a participant." No signature. She'd know it was me. And just in case she didn't, I made sure her landlord, who happened to be a mutual acquaintance from Jason's company, received an anonymous tip about Amber running a side business out of the apartment in violation of the lease. That cute little work-from-home setup she flaunted in her stories violated 3 clauses in her rental agreement. 2 weeks later, I saw a U-Haul parked outside her building. Jason ghosted her. She lost her biggest clients. And now? She's starting over, probably from scratch. I'd say I feel bad, but I don't. Amber thought she could steal a man, destroy a marriage, and walk away with a new life. But what she walked into was my territory. And I defend what's mine, especially my dignity. With Jason's career in ruins, Amber disappearing from the map, and the truth exposed, all that was left was me, and what I'd build from the ashes they left behind. I always thought the end of a marriage would feel like a funeral, but the day I signed the divorce papers, it didn't feel like something died. It felt like I came back to life. Jason didn't contest anything, not after the HR scandal, the frozen assets, or the forensic financial report my lawyer delivered like a bouquet of thorns. The man who once told me, "You're overreacting," now couldn't even look me in the eye. He signed every page without a word. Our last meeting took 6 minutes. He walked out of the mediator's office looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. I didn't watch him go. Instead, I walked straight to the elevator, wrote it down in silence, and stepped out into the sun like a woman reborn. I moved out of our old place a week later, took only what was mine, and left him with the sofa we bought together, the coffee table he never cleaned, and the echo of what he destroyed. My new apartment was smaller, brighter, mine. I bought white curtains and a blue kettle. I planted herbs on the balcony and started sleeping through the night again. People think revenge is about rage, about screaming, slashing tires, airing dirty laundry in public. But real revenge, the kind that lasts, it's measured, surgical. It's watching the person who underestimated you slowly realize you were never the fool. They were. And it's waking up every day with your peace intact while they're stuck picking through the rubble they made. Amber disappeared, deleted social media, vanished from mutual circles. Word is she moved back in with her sister across the state. Jason lost his job officially 2 weeks after the investigation wrapped. No charges, just a quiet, devastating blacklisting. His name now opens doors to nowhere. Ben and I still talk. Not romantically, just 2 survivors who crawled out of the same wreckage. We send each other memes, the occasional check-in. We've become a kind of strange, healing mirror for each other. He's dating again. I'm not. I don't need to. For the first time in years, I'm not performing. I don't have to smile through someone else's lies. I don't have to worry about someone hiding secrets in business trips or burner phones. I'm just me. Strong. Whole. Unapologetic. I even started painting again, something I gave up years ago when Jason said it was a cute hobby. Now, my hobby is hanging on the wall of a local cafe. Last week, a woman tapped me on the shoulder at the coffee shop. "Are you Harper?" she asked. "I am." She smiled. "You don't know me, but I just want to say I heard what happened, and how you handled it? Damn, You're kind of a legend." I laughed. For real. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. But what I am is free. And if I ever fall in love again, it won't be with someone who makes me question my worth. It'll be with someone who never lets me forget it.